remember that part. I'm gonna share my screen and then we'll get going. There we go. Does that look good, Marlene? Are we all set there?
I'm all set.
All right. Good stuff. Let me minus that. All right. So as we think about birding through the different months here in Tucson and Southeast Arizona, there are definitely some months that stand out to us as, oh, I need to get out and go birding. I think of April. I think of May. I think of August. August is really my favorite month to go birding. Normally, we don't really think about October that much. At least I don't. I was looking back through my records of all the different places I've been birding in October since I moved here at the end of 2014. And honestly, I haven't birded that many different locations in the month of October, I found. October is a month I usually go back up to Washington State to visit family. Last year, October, I did a couple field trips, one to the Salton Sea and some other places. So like I was kind of out of the area. And so I was thinking about, all right, what are those places that either I have been in October or I want to go in October or really stand out? You know, it's kind of the tail end of fall migration. We have returning birds coming. Maybe not all the winter birds in yet. November is kind of that month when like everything is in. October is a little bit of a transition month, not as deep in variety as September is, but October is still good. I mean, there's no bad month to go birding in this area. The bird that really, I mentioned Mittern earlier, but the bird that really out as a bird of October for Southeast Arizona is this one. This is a yellow rump warbler. And yellow rump warblers come and invade Tucson and Southeast Arizona in the month of October. I want to show you. I'm going to show you something here real quick. So as well, not my email, but bar charts. I hope that you all know how to use the bar chart function for eBird. Actually, let's go right here. I'll show you really quick. Bar charts are your friend when you're looking at where you want to go in a certain month in a certain area. So you can go to Explore eBird, click on bar charts right here. Click on that. You can choose your location. You can either choose from your own locations down here. You can choose a whole state, or you can choose certain counties. So like if you want to look at, let's say Pima and Santa Cruz counties in Arizona, you would just click on Arizona, counties in Arizona, and then go to continue. And you can choose up to, right here, 15 counties. You can click on Pima, and then you have to hold control to pick another one like La Paz or Santa Cruz. It takes a little while for it to build up, so I'm not gonna hit continue right there. I actually have it right here. So as you can see, I'll go up to the top. These are bird observations just in the month of October for Pima and Santa Cruz counties. So you can see, all right, so like here's black-bellied whistling duck, a few different sightings here. Those are, you can see it's like really rare right there. And they start coming in April, May, June, July, August, September, October is kind of like when you'll be able to see black-bellied whistling duck mostly here in the area in these two counties. I want to take us down to yellow rump warbler, show you something. Warblers are down at the bottom. Have to scroll through all of it. All right, where are we at? Orange crown. You can see they really start coming in late August, September. Lucy's warbler leaving in October. Let's go. Here's yellow rump. So yellow rump warblers are recorded here in Pima and Santa Cruz counties all year round. June, July, August, September. Those are mostly records from higher elevation. And you can see this huge bump kind of at the end of September, but then really in October, the width and depth of these green marks right here shows whether it's more common or less common. So if there's nothing, that means it's not noted. it's really small, that means really rare. And as it gets really big, like you can see here with yellow rump warbler, that's abundant. So yellow rump warblers come in. That's what October's kind of about, when you're anywhere. So right now we're all seeing lots of Wilson's warblers. Oh, actually Wilson's is below. So let's go right here. So you can see September, August, September, really the month for Wilson's. And also, okay, well, let's look at green-tailed towhee too, just because a lot of people are saying stuff about green-tailed towhee. You can see September, really the month when they start coming back in. So use these bar charts to help yourself in figuring out when to go and look for different birds, maybe what to expect in a month to come. I use these a lot when I'm putting together these different presentations because, I can quickly glance and see, oh, look at this, Lincoln sparrow. Maybe I could start talking about Lincoln sparrow and the different sightings starting in September, because that's when they start coming back for fall migration. So that's just something to think about. And let's go back to the PowerPoint here. So what to expect when you're out birding in October? Just a few things to get us started here. This is an American bittern picture I took at Sweetwater Wetlands. I love this. Bittern. When I describe to someone what a bittern looks like, sometimes I use the shape of a basketball. They have like this really round shape to them that even when they're flying, they look like a big chunk just flying through the air. And here the neck is just like really, it looks like this bittern has no neck. Sometimes it'll stick its head out and it'll have a really long neck. And during breeding season, which they don't do here in Southeast Arizona, but when you see them in breeding season, they'll put their neck way out and they'll have like these big bulbs that kind of come out of their neck when they're displaying. But here he looks even more like a basketball. Anyways, what to expect when you're birding in October. So these new birds like bitterns that are coming in, yellow rump warblers coming in. Temperatures, thank God, will start becoming more cool. September never becomes more cool. We think fall begins in September, but it definitely doesn't around here. But October, plan to bring a jacket with you in the morning. Our summer birds are leaving. And then one thing to be aware of is October is a really good month for vagrant warblers. So like Tennessee warbler, chestnut-sided warbler, black and white warbler, northern parula, like those are, October is a good month for finding those. So you just got to really pour over all the different warblers. All right, here's the first location that I want to encourage you to go and visit in the month of October. And I got to go and visit earlier. I went there on Saturday. I took a couple of videos. I couldn't get my videos to like transfer over. I was gonna had planned some videos, so bummer that didn't work. But they get a few pictures and some insight that I want to share with you for birding Patagonia Lake State Park in the month of October. It's doing some other eBird research, and October is the month with the fourth most bird species seen at Patagonia Lake State Park. Only May, April, and March have more bird species seen. They all have way more checklists that are submitted in those months. October is the third fewest checklists submitted at Patagonia Lake State Park. I think only to June and July. And we all know why you don't visit Patagonia Lake State Park in June, July. Why I haven't talked about it in any of our months prior since we started this series as we looked at the month of June. You don't go and visit Patagonia Lake State Park in the summer months. And it's because there are tons of people there. October, it starts to slow down a little bit. Even when I was there on Saturday, I think my friend Daniel and I were one of the first in there besides the people who are camping. We got a parking spot right here. This is on Saturday. We got the first parking spot. You can see it's still not all the way light out. The sun hasn't come up over those hills yet. But I knew we had to do that because September is still a very heavy month for visitation at Patagonia Lake State Park, especially on a weekend. I don't really advocate people going there on a weekend, even in October, even though there won't be as many people, but it's just really crowded. So think about that as you plan your trip. If you have the ability to go on a weekday, that's what I would suggest. If you go on a weekend, just get there early. But October is better than the summer months. But like I said, not very many eBird checklists have been submitted for the month of October. I believe if we go and submit more, that number of species that are seen in that month will also go up and will rival March and April. So I think that's part of it. Where to go birding at Patagonia Lake State Park? There's actually a few different areas to focus on. This right here, this is the beginning of the birding trail. It's way on the east side of the state park. I'll show you a map here pretty soon. Actually, I'll go to that map right now as I'm talking. But the birding trail is probably the main spot. Like if I go to the state park, that's the place I'm going to visit first. Now you can see right here. Here's Patagonia Lake and the state park. I think it's pretty easy. I don't need to go over like exactly how to get there, but it's in between Patagonia, Nogales, Highway 82. And as you scroll down here, I'm actually going to switch to satellite version. And you can see as you travel in here, you go through the little pay gate. It's $20 for a car to get in here. So that deters some people. Have $20, $25. I think it varies on whether it's a weekend or weekday. I think it's worth it. You know, you can get a state park pass. I volunteered there one time, so actually I have a volunteer pass. So I was able to get in there free, which is pretty nice. But it does cost a little money. You go through the pay gate, and then you go into the campground. You can see here, just from the campground, that this is a busy place. But you go in this main road, and then you take a right. And as you take a right, you'll go past these different campgrounds. There's a bunch of different cabins that they placed up here now. So it looks a little different than what this map is showing. But you still just continue right here. There is some parking right in here. So if you get here and the parking right here is full, you can see. And you can see from the picture I showed you where my Jeep was at. But there are only 3 parking spots right here. One of those is for disabled parking. So really there's only, like for myself, there's only 2 spots. So you either get there early or you park back here. There's some other parking and you just have to walk over here. But this is where the trail starts, and you can see as it meanders their way through here. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to show you the other spots that you can bird at Patagonia Lake before I get into specifics of the birding trail. You can also come into this main road, and instead of taking the right to go to the birding trail, there's parking right here. This is a swimming area, and you know, if it's not crowded, it's not a bad spot to park and to use binoculars or maybe a scope if you have one to just kind of look out in this area for grebes. You know, October's a good month for grebes, like corn grebes, ear grebes, pop grebes, western grebes, Clark's grebe. Usually there could be red-breasted mergansers in there. As you get deeper into October, you have a better chance for a wider variety of waterfowl, maybe a stray gull or tern. And then after there, you can come over here. This is the boat launch area. And this is a bunch of day use parking over here. And there's a really cool pathway that goes over the little thing right here. It's fun to walk over. My kids like that. We've had a Carolina wren in this little section here before, not in October, but who knows. But also some good vantage points here to look out over these areas. I suppose if you're like some of my friends who have a kayak, you can put the kayak in there and go over to these areas. Right now, having a kayak or some sort of boat would actually be really beneficial because the other spot to bird Patagonia Lake is over here. This is called the Sonoida Creek State Natural Area. You have to have a specific pass to get in here. You can get that from the visitor center, which is right here in the campground to get there, or you can get it from the pay station. The problem right now is that it's closed because of COVID stuff, I believe. I don't know when it's going to reopen, but when it does reopen, you're able to access it before you get to this little pay area, and you go, this is a gravel road that meanders its way over to the far west end of the lake. And you can see you park right here, and there's a gate here, and you can walk down here. I was really hoping it was going to be open on Saturday, and it wasn't. I should have looked beforehand. But this area right here, this far west end of the lake, is probably the best spot for some of those grebes or Pacific loon or common loon as they come in for the winter. It can be a really good spot. And then this is probably the best shorebird spot of the whole lake. Right here, there's a dam, and then this is kind of like a free-flowing creek down here. But there's a good area for shorebirds. There was a sharp-tailed sandpiper seen in that area last year, which is a super rare bird. But you know, there's other more common shorebirds that can often be seen here. And like I said, right now it's inaccessible because it's all closed. But if you have a kayak or some boat, you can just come on over here from the boat launch. You see, it's a little bit of a jaunt there, but we all need some exercise. And you can come down here and bird this area. Who knows what's down there right now? But this is the area we'll focus on to show you an overview before I get back to my PowerPoint. And then we'll have time for questions here in about 5-10 minutes for Patagonia Lake. You park here, and then as you walk down here, you can see the trail. There's a really nice area to look over the lake right here. And I would say that if you have a scope, you can bring your scope to about right here and look out over this big section of lake. Great spot for both types of cormorants, double-crested and neotropic, herons, yellow-headed blackbirds flying from these cattails all over the place, along with yellow-headed and grackles galore. Sometimes they have some feeders right here as well. If they have hummingbird feeders, it could be a good spot for violet crown. They didn't have any hummingbird feeders out there on Saturday. They did have some seed out. Didn't really see anything at those feeders, but there were grebes and coots and great blue heron and double-crested cormorant and yellow-headed blackbirds all there on Saturday. As we get deeper in the winter, those things are just going to increase. So October is really a good month for that. And then you come down, and you can see the trail kind of starts getting hidden right here. Well, what happens, this is where I had my video, and it's not working, but you go down there's some steps right here, and it kind of meanders its way through some steps, and there's a little gate that says close the gate behind you, so that you go through that gate, close the gate, and then that's when the birding really gets awesome and intense, where you have the lake over here on your left side. You have you can see these small little draws that come in here. This is going to be your best spot right here for black-capped gnatcher, the first little draw that comes in right after you go down the steps. Also good for northern beardless, Tranulate, and the mesquites. And then as you walk through here, you have mesquites on your right, on your south side, then you have the cattails and everything over here on your left. And then you have like this big marshy area that you walk by. You can see how the trail opens up into this big open area. This can be a good spot for black-capped gnatcatcher too, but also lots of flycatchers in this section. And then you want to look back in here at all this marsh. Usually tons of ducks in here, and herons, soras, Virginia rails, and then a bunch of other birds as you meander your way through here. And then, let me do that. And then I'll show you on a couple pictures I have, but there's a trail that goes kind of through here, and it kind of makes a loop. You can see the creek over here. There's a section that goes along the creek. That's where you're going to find green kingfisher if you're lucky. You got to be lucky though. not all the time. As much as every time I walk by, I'm like, oh, this is green kingfisher right here. Is going to see one, but it's a small percentage, but they're through there. Let's go back to the PowerPoint here.
Luke, I have a question related.
Yeah, go for it, Marlene. That was a good time.
What is that area called where the gravel road is? That paved area.
Yeah, so that I probably said that way too fast. It's called Sonoida Creek State Natural Area. Okay. So it's aligned with state parks, Arizona state parks. I don't know quite the difference between state park and state natural area, except that state parks usually there's like camping and other recreational stuff, and state natural areas is mostly there's not as much like accessible areas. They limit that a lot more.
And then someone, Nancy, wants to know what the trail mileage is and the time for the.
That's a good question. I went about 1.5 miles on Saturday, and that's actually further than I've really walked in the past. That's one way. So the loop is that I did on Saturday is about 3 miles, but the hardest part is kind of walking down those stairs through that gate. And once you get past that, it's all flat. I'll show you a couple pictures here, maybe some obstacles with that, but you don't have to go that far. So even if you just go 1 mile in and you just do like a 1.5 miles total or 2 miles total, that's even more than enough. You could do it in a lot less and still see a good variety of species.
So you can do either a loop or just straight out and back.
Yeah, the loop does have part of out and back, and in some portions of the loop, you'll see here. You can see this is the trail. This is one section of the trail. We'll come back to this. Some sections of the trail are a little bit overgrown, so even when you do a loop, you're going to have some out and back too. But yeah, and you can kind of position yourself to do a smaller loop if you want to.
And James wanted to know if the state natural areas accept state park passes. Do you know
I believe they do. Now, that's not gospel. I'm not exactly sure, but I think they do.
Okay. And do you know if the restrooms are open at Patagonia?
Yep. Yeah, the campground's open, and there are tons of people there. And I didn't use the bathroom, but just by looking at the hundreds of people that were there, I hope the bathroom's open. Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Hey, look, I was there last week, and the bathrooms were open.
Yeah. That was good because there was tons of people there.
Lorraine wanted to know if there are canoe or kayak rentals at the dock.
Sure. Yeah. Yep. And you could even rent I believe you can rent like a party boat there, like a pontoon boat if you want.
I'm not sure what Linda means. It wants to know if you're talking about the lower loop.
Yeah, so you'll see these signs, lower loop right here, these little Roadrunner signs. You'll see a sign over here on the left, upper loop. So there will be a point where I was showing you the map where there's kind of like, you can see it's a little bit more open here on the right. There's like a big open area. And then you'll see these signs. It's fairly well signed. That's just what I wanted to show you, is that there's a lower loop and upper loop, and they tried to do a good job in keeping things easy to see and where to go. It is a state park, so there's a lot of people moving through there. It's a little overgrown right now. You can see right there, just right after monsoon season, and there's not a lot of people who have been using the state park these really hot months. besides those using the lake and the campground and the swimming, there's not as many people using this area. So yeah, they're all really well marked is what I want to make sure to point out.
That's all the questions for now.
Okay.
Marie just said that there's a pontoon boat birding tour of the lake.
There is. I've been on it. So I don't know if they're doing those tours right now because of COVID. My guess is they're not. But it is a lot of fun to bird from a boat. Like, I've only done it a few times, but every time I've been on a boat, you see things from a different angle. Tom Brown, who's on this talk right now, he's somewhere in there. He likes to take his kayak out, and he tells me that, you know, you're able to get a lot closer to some of the birds in a kayak because, or a boat, because the birds don't see you as much of a threat as, you know, coming from land. So that's, and then to do a tour on a pontoon boat is pretty fun.
One more question. Are there any chiggers?
I didn't get any on Saturday, but I've gotten some there before. So, and I was wearing shorts and going through stuff like this. I thought for sure I was going to get them, but I didn't. And I wasn't wearing any protection, which, yeah, I probably should have, but I wasn't. So, yeah, good for us. No chiggers. A few different, is that good, Marlene? I don't want to miss anything.
Good for now.
Okay, sweet. A few different tips I want to give you for visiting Patagonia Lake State Park and walking the birding trail especially. So bird the edges. So you can see, didn't really get a good picture. On one side, there's a bunch of, like a mesquite bosque area. And so it says my internet's unstable. Hopefully I'm not losing you guys. But you want to go into those on the edge of the mesquite bosque and the meadow area and the marshes. So anywhere there's edges to those types of habitats, spend some time in those areas. Those little side draws that come down through the mesquites, there's not a specific trail on some of them. Some of them there is, like maybe the cows are making the trail. But I would say if you have the ability to go up and explore some of those side draws, that can be some of the best spots for northern beardless tranulate, black-capped gnatcatcher, and Cassin's vireo, some other different types of species that you may not see right next to the lake. So if you want to increase the variety of birds you see, explore those side draws up into the mesquites. Of course, check the marshy areas, double check them. There's a lot of things that hide in those shadows. Start early. I already talked about, let's see, as you find the creek, sometimes the trail's right along the creek, so it's easy to look for a green kingfisher along the trail, or along the creek. Other times the trail meanders a little bit further away from the creek. And look for openings where you can walk back in there and just peek along the creek edges, look on the branches that are overhanging the creek. A lot of times green kingfisher won't be very high, they'll be lower. And we're used to seeing belted kingfishers, they're smaller. So just be aware of that. You might lose the trail. I lost the trail one time on Saturday. It's super easy to find. Or if you're worried about that, don't go off the trail. And then watch for cows. There's some cows out there. I'll show you. They won't hurt you, even though if any of you are like me, I'm always a little wary whenever I'm around any type of animal that's bigger than me. So just be mindful that there are a lot of cows out there. They won't hurt you, I promise, I think. Here's some birds to be thinking of when you're visiting Patagonia Lake. Brought up both of these right here, black-capped gnatcatcher and green kingfisher. When you're looking for black-capped gnatcatcher, you can see the white under the tail here. Make sure the white under the tail is not a blue-gray gnatcatcher, because those are coming through in October too. Black-cap will be grayer, won't have as much of like a little eye ring like blue-gray will. Blue-gray will have, if you look in your bird book, look at the difference of the white under the tail on a black-cap and the white under the tail on a blue-gray. The graduate, how do you say it? Kind of a graduated tail look. I don't know how else to describe that. There's like little like indentations here. So look at that. Look in your bird book at the underside of the tail and the overall coloration. Black-cap will kind of have a longer bill too. The black tail will be there as well. So if, you know, all black under the tail, that's black tail. So yeah, just be careful there. Osprey, October is a great month for osprey at the state park. Always lots of flycatchers. Here's a northern beardless tranulate. This is one I've seen often along the birding trail in the mesquites. As you can see, it's in the mesquite right here. This is taken right there on the birding trail in that first little draw right after the gate. In that same exact spot is often where I see or hear them. Listen to, I should have put the Tranulate song on here so you could hear it, but go and listen to Tranulate before you get there. And you can see the shadows here, like how hard it would be to find a night heron or a green heron or a Sora or Virginia rail or a least bittern. Least bittern have been recorded quite often here at Patagonia Lake in October. So it's easy to miss those, and just check those shadows. Anything else before we get to some thoughts about Santa Gertrudis Lane, about Patagonia Lake? Any outstanding questions there, Marlene?
Yeah, there's one question. Do the green kingfishers usually, are they over clear water or somewhat muddy water?
All the water is pretty muddy there. Okay. Yeah, it's you'll see the creek. I mean, it's I love walking by any source of water. So yeah, the creek is, in some portions, is kind of ugly, but it's still great just to walk along a flowing creek. And it's all pretty muddy. At least it was every time I've been there.
And that's all the questions for now.
Yeah, that's all the questions. Okay. So another really good spot is Santa Gertrudis Lane. This is along the De Anza Trail in between Tubac and Tamacacori. You can see I love this big sign that goes right over the lane. Some quick things about Santa Gertrudis. 166 species have been recorded there on eBird in the month of October. Surprisingly, maybe for some of you, October has the highest amount of species of any month recorded at Santa Gertrudis Lane. So more than May, more than April, more than August, more than September. And as you can see right here, only 189 checklists have been submitted. That's the fourth fewest for any month. So just think if more people went and birded, that number would just keep going up. So a lot of the months have like well over 300-400 checklists submitted for a month. You look at January, you look at December, and this place gets birded nonstop. Then October, the month with the most species recorded, the fourth fewest birded birdest month. I can't even talk right now. So it's just really surprising. I don't know why more people don't go there during this month. I'm going to show you, let's see. So here's Santa Gertrudis Lane, month of October, 166 species, 100 checklists. Here's how you get there. This is I-19 coming down from Green Valley. And it's actually not between Tubac and Tamacacori. It's actually just south of Tamacacori. Sorry about that. It can be a little tricky to find it, but really not that hard. You take this exit right here. And as you take the exit, you go north on the frontage road like you're going back up to Tamacacori. And you'll see Santa Gertrudis Lane here. This is where you park. You can see this car right here. In fact, we'll go to this. Boom. So that's what it looks like. So let me see. I should be able to get over. Oh, never mind. Not able to kind of show you the other sides. But you park right over here, right on your left. And you walk down this pathway. So there is some parking down here, but birders are encouraged not to park down there because there are people who live down here. And so I don't know if they've complained, but it's just not kosher to park all the way down there. And which is actually good because as you walk down this lane, especially on this right side, there are some amazing pyracantha bushes that you can look for birds in. Actually, walking down the lane is almost as good as walking down the actual trail itself. So you walk down this lane, you can see all these bushes right here. This is a great spot for American robin, hermit thrush, white-crowned sparrows, sometimes white-throated sparrows, and then bluebirds, cedar waxwings. And then when you see like a big congregation of all these berry-eating birds, what you're really going to be looking for right now is Rufus back robin. So you look through this whole section, and then you can see the creek is right here. What I encourage you to do is walk down all the way to where the creek is at, spend some time looking up north, spend some time looking down south, another great area for green kingfisher. And then, depending on what you see there, then you walk back up, and I like to walk south on this De Anza trail, and it follows the river. There's different points where you can look out here and look along the river as well. Just a stupendous area. At different times of the year, people have found prothonotary warbler, Sinaloa wren, of course, Rufus-backed robins, yellow-bellied sapsuckers. And it's just, it's a really good area. So let's see, here is Santa Gertrudis Lane in October, and you can see all the different birds that have been seen through here. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. Here's some different things to think about when you're birding the De Anza Trail here at Santa Gertrudis Lane. Again, parked by that main road. I just really want to bring that up. I have seen birders parked there by the creek, and it's just a big no-no. And it's all right. You want to walk that road anyways. Pay attention to the pyracantha bushes. Watch the sandbars along the creek. A lot of times the birds use that creek as their source of water, and they'll come up on the sandbar. They'll kind of, probably a great spot for photographers. You know, the birds come and they kind of take their bath, get a drink. Seeing painted buntings along the edges at different times. So that's something to think about. Here's some birds to be looking for as you're going down this area. And it's really the variety through here, especially in October, because you have this mixture of still some summer breeding birds that are still here, and then these wintering birds that are coming back in. And then once the pyracantha bushes really start producing their berries, you have all these berry-eating birds that are coming through. Common ground doves, ink doves. Oh, the combination of black vultures. Oh, that's not what I want to do. A combination of black vultures and Chihuahuan ravens, and maybe some other raptors are coming through. So in the winter, starting kind of late October, start seeing like these big, you can see these big like kettles of raptors that include, you know, could be scores, hundreds of Chihuahuan ravens kind of gathering up. Black vultures, you'll see their really short, chunky tails. And of course, other raptors going south, turkey vultures. You got gray and common blackhawks that have been recorded through. Grayhawk is actually fairly common still through the month of October in this area. So if you're still looking for grayhawk or want to see one before they head out for the rest of the year, this is a great spot to come in and look or listen for grayhawk. Blackhawks migrate through here in March on their way north, and it's not as impressive on their way south, but it is still the corridor that they use. We'll talk about red-naped sapsuckers here a little bit, but there's in the cottonwoods, you're walking under this big cottonwood gallery, and tons of woodpeckers, ladderback, Gila, northern flickers, red-naped sapsuckers. Rose-throated Becard Normally when I go to look for rose-throated Picard, I'll go to the two-back De Anza Trail, where I think we talked about that a little bit a couple months ago, and then go north. But Picards also are in this section as well. So as you're walking through in October, just be real mindful to be looking for these interesting little flycatchers that you know, look and listen for them. We have this whole mix of thrushes, hermit thrushes, American robins, and Rufus-back robin. And then black-throated gray warblers are moving through in October, and they'll stick around throughout the winter, along with, you know, of course, yellow rumped and orange crown, and painted redstarts move in from higher elevations. They can be noticeable through there, along with hepatic tanager as well. And of course, green-tailed towhee. I guess green-tailed towhee isn't as exciting. Everyone's having them in their yards, but still one that gets me going. And last light buntings are still common through the month of October here along the Santa Gertrudis Lane and the De Anza Trail, and painted bunting earlier in the month. Now, what made me really start looking into Santa Gertrudis Lane for the month of October is that one of my friends, Steve Valasek from Phoenix, he had a Rufus-back robin there over the weekend on Saturday. And you can see here, this is an American robin, not a Rufus-back, but this is an American robin. Is the berries that he's going after. This is just what you want to look for. That when you see American robins, really anywhere in the winter, be looking for Rufus-back, but especially here at Santa Gertrudis Lane. This is a well-known area where they come and spend the winter. And oftentimes they'll start doing that at the end of October. Now, what gets me thinking a little bit here, well, a couple of winters ago, we had a really good Rufus-back robin winter. And so what I'm thinking is that with Steve's sighting of it was a really young Rufus-back robin on Saturday. Actually, I'm gonna show you a picture. I think I have it brought up here. Yeah, here's Steve Valasek. He's my buddy. He was there on Saturday. You can see he had thick-billed kingbirds. Those will be gone by October, so don't look at that. But here's Rufus-back robin. Look at these pictures. Superficially, from the front, looks kind of like a young American robin. You can see right here the back, the Rufus-back here, and the gape. You can tell it's a really young bird. So here's what I'm thinking. They nested around there somewhere. They had to have nested. For this young of a bird to come out in the open, he said, is about 3/4 of a mile down from where the trail starts at Santa Gertrudis Lane. So maybe about a mile from where you're going to park. So about 3/4 of a mile down on the other side of the creek. So he said he called it like a little oxbow in the creek that goes off to the east, and was able to look out on the other side of the creek, and you can see it's kind of on like a sandbar. That's what the birds do, really, is they love these sandbars. And so he found this Rufus-back robin there. How incredible is that? And that tells me that as soon as those bushes are fruiting, these Rufus-back robins are going to come and eat away. So I think we need to be ready to go and check those out. So let's look at, here's the bar charts for Santa Gertrudis Lane. You see Rufus-back robin. You see a couple sightings in September. That's actually, I think those should probably be a little bit smaller. I don't know why there's so many right there. And then this gap here in October. But you can see that late October, mid to late October is when we could expect Rufus-back robins to come back to this area. I mean, it's a fairly large little bar right there. I was thinking it'd be more like this level, like Lawrence's goldfinch, which actually I should have brought up too. Lawrence's goldfinch in October that's another bird to be looking for. You can see right here, this is the month if you're going to find a Lawrence's goldfinch, and actually they'd be in that same sort of those bushes there too. I think that'd be a good spot. But Rufus-back robin, I think this is going to be the year for him, especially with Steve finding that one. Let's go prove it right together and find those. Sounds like a good idea to me. So also in October, be looking at all of the red nape sapsuckers that you see along this area. There was already a sighting of yellow-bellied sapsucker, I think from a park in East Tucson. I can't remember which park it was. I think John Higgins found it. But I would say like a lot of yellow-bellied sapsucker sightings happen along the De Anza Trail, and I think do happen along Santa Gertrudis Lane. So when you're looking at a red nape sapsucker and wondering if it might be yellow-bellied, here's a picture of a red nape. This is the nape, right here where I'm circling. You can see it's red. Now, some female red nape sapsuckers won't have very much red right there. But on a yellow-bellied sapsucker, you'll never find red right there. So that's a really good indicator that you might have something special. The other thing to look at is the pattern of the white and black on the back of the sapsucker. So right here, you got a good white line and then a dark back line right down the middle. And then you'll have another white line right here. They're pretty distinct. There's not much of a meshing of color there. That's another good indicator for red nape sapsucker. If you have yellow-bellied sapsucker, it's going to be less of a vertical lines. It's going to be more kind of horizontal, and it kind of gets all kind of mushed together, if I'm remembering right. So it's kind of vertical, it's mushy. There'll be no red here. If you're able to get a picture, that's even better. So look at your bird book. Hopefully you have a Sibley bird guide, or you have a maybe National Geographic bird book, and look at some of the differences before you go out to go birding. Sometimes it's harder after you go birding, when you think you've seen something and you start putting something in your mind ahead, it's better to look before. So that's something to be thinking of. Hey, Marlene, any questions regarding Santa Gertrudis Lane?
There was just one, and there was a warning sign for mountain lions, and James was wondering if anyone had ever seen one. I don't.
There's a warning sign for mountain lions at Santa Gertrudis Lane?
That's what the comment says.
Oh, wow. I would love to see a mountain lion.
That'd be fun.
That gets me, for some people, that strikes a little fear. Maybe it should strike some fear into me, but that more excitement than anything. No, I haven't heard of any sightings of mountain lion down there. And I've definitely heard of mountain lion sightings like up in the hills here, like around Sabino and Ventana and all those places, but not at the De Anza Trail.
There was one other comment that they wanted you to confirm, and it's Dave. He wondered if green kingfishers are usually flying lower to the water and very quiet. That's been his observation.
That's been mine too. Belted kingfishers, they'll green kingfishers are, they're smaller, and they eat smaller food. They definitely fly lower. They're much more harder to spot than belted kingfishers. They do call, so like here, let me put on mute here. Boom. So their call isn't as loud as belted kingfisher either. I can hear belted kingfisher from far away, and I don't even have the best of hearing. Green kingfisher I can hear, but it's not like, maybe my mind's not as in tune with it. So green kingfisher is harder to find because they fly low. Their color is harder to see. It's a difficult bird.
And then there's just a lot of comments about mountain lion sightings.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I still have never seen a mountain lion in the wild. I hope that changes soon in a good way.
That's it. Luke.
Thanks, Marlene.
Mhm.
All right. I know we're really close here. It looks like we're doing all right. So every time I do this, I like to have one location that's really local, maybe in town, that's easily accessible. I think these other spots are really accessible this time around too, but this one especially. So I've really held off on talking about Sweetwater wetlands when it comes to where to go birding in all these different months. But October is actually my favorite month to bird Sweetwater. And you all know I bird Sweetwater way too often. And I was looking at all my October different sightings and things I've entered into eBird. Sweetwater, hands down, is the place I've been to the most in October. Seems like I go there all the time, and it's because rare birds start showing up there in October. Lots of them do. American bitterns, vagrant warblers. Like there was one October when I went there, and we had fox sparrow, Tennessee warbler, chestnut-sided warbler, Baltimore oriole, and black and white warbler all on the same day.
Wow.
So if you're from the east, that may not be like a big thing, but it's a great time for vagrants to come through. A few other things about Sweetwater in October that I think we should all be really excited about. Sora and Virginia rail. Not only are they the really vocal in October, but they're also fairly easy to see. Now, the cattails in a lot of those areas have really grown up over the years, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. But there are still enough openings where you can look in and find Sora and Virginia rail out in the open in October. I think you won't go there and be disappointed, especially if you're there early in the morning. So those types of rails are always more vocal first thing in the morning, whether it's at Sweetwater or anywhere else. Great horned owls tend to start being seen more often in October on their day roosts. I think that's just a byproduct of getting ready for breeding season. Owls breed super early, December, January, so they're just starting to kind of come out. They're more, the leaves are coming off the trees, so it's a little bit easier to see up into the willows or the cottonwoods. But last year, especially, we started seeing great horned owls in more than one of them on each of our Sweetwater walks, starting in October and going into November, December. So if you want to look for a great horned owl, that could be a good spot. Just pay real attention to the cottonwood trees. They won't be way out on the edge. Most of the time, they'll be real close to the trunk. So look for any type of shape deformities next to the trunk. Could be a great horned owl. Yellow-headed blackbirds are in there right now, but as we get in October, they'll be increasing in number. Yellow-headed blackbirds are always a treat to see. Look for, even when they're in flight, don't look so much for yellow heads on the blackbirds, but look for white wing patches. That's what will really stand out. And kind of mid-morning is a good time to see yellowheads start flying around Sweetwater, like around 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:30. That's what I've kind of found in October is a good time frame for them. So you don't have to get there super early for yellow-headed blackbirds. And also, if you want to get there in the evening, the blackbirds come and start roosting in there in the winter. And late October is the time when they start doing that. So you can have a mixture of brewer's blackbirds, yellow-headed blackbirds, red-winged blackbirds, great-tailed grackles, brown-headed cowbirds. It's really fun to see them all come in. They start doing that later in the fall. Sparrow numbers increasing. So you start getting Savannah sparrows, chipping sparrows, brewer sparrows. We had a few brewer sparrows right now, but they'll just along the recharge basins on the south side. In fact, here I'm gonna show you a good map of Sweetwater. Some of you may not even know about this map, and maybe I'll include this on my recap email. But this is a special Sweetwater wetlands map that was put together, I believe, by Andrew Core. And you can see it shows all the different names of these ponds. So when you're walking on the south side of the loop of the eastern loop, and you go out on that little platform thing, that's called the keyhole pond. When you're at the Ramada over here and you're looking out over the pond, that's called the gazebo pond. So if you're trying to tell someone where a certain bird is seen, you can say, oh, I saw it at Cottonwood Pond, even though now Cottonwood Pond is basically, you're unable to see it because of the cattails, which is kind of a bummer. These are called settling basins right here. So those are good spots to look for Sora and Virginia rail, to listen for them. These are the recharge basins down here. So this whole area, right along the edge, see, it's all about edges, people. But the edge between the recharge basins and the trail, these are the best spots for sparrows, along with also right through here. This section, this northwest section is really good. Oh, and also, just in case you're looking there, saw a summer tanager. It's kind of been hanging around over here on the other side of the pond. That Larry Norris and I think that's going to stick around all winter. So in October, if you go to Sweetwater, as you're on the trail over here, look out into these ponds and look for a bright red summer tanager. So the other thing is vagrant warblers. Some of the best spots for vagrant warblers at Sweetwater are these cottonwoods that are right next to the parking area. So these don't always get birded because the main trail is along the gazebo, the different ponds here. And even on our Wednesday walk, we never bird this area, but this is where I've often seen Tennessee warbler vagrants. The couple times I've seen Tennessee warblers there, they've all been in this little area right here. Chestnut-sided warbler, most sightings have been right in here, in between the two loops. Black and white warbler, often I've seen them right along this section through here. Now, we didn't have one last winter, but every other winter, starting in October, we've been getting them. So hopefully we have something that comes back, but look in this section. And northern parula, often in these cottonwoods right next to the Ramada Pond, or on the other south side here, I've seen northern parula through here. And so those are just some things to think about when birding Sweetwater in October. I think you should go check that out. Yeah, go ahead, Marlene.
Questions, Luke. I'm not familiar with this bird, but did you see the jacana? Is that how it's pronounced at Canoa?
No, I didn't get to go see the jacana. I got busy and then I got sick, so I didn't get to see it. And I don't know if there's been any jacana sightings in October. So maybe next year when we're talking about September again, jacana will be the rare bird of the month for September, maybe. What do you think?
Are there any usual birding areas that are closed?
Yeah, there's a lot of usual birding areas. I would have talked about the Sycamore Reservoir Trail that goes out of Gordon Hirabashi Campground in the Catalinas. I would have talked about that last month, but it was closed last month. There's a chance it's open now. They did some reopenings in the Catalina Mountains. So I don't know if that trail is specifically open again. But there's a lot of areas in the Catalina Mountains that are closed. Of course, Patton Center for Hummingbirds is closed. You can bird that from the road, but you can't go in there. Nature Conservancy lands are closed. So the Patagonia Sonoida Nature Conservancy, Ramsey Canyon Nature Conservancy, those are closed. And like we talked about, the Sonoida Creek State Natural Area. Definitely some areas we can't really get into.
Okay, thanks, Luke. Are there any weather conditions to watch for that lead to the vagrants showing up at Sweetwater?
Yeah, whenever there's a somewhat dramatic change in temperature, for instance, was it last week or the week before, we had, we had like a day when it was like 105 and the next day was going to be like 92 or something like that. And there was a lot of rare birds that popped up during that time, like at Samalina Park and some other areas. Anytime there's a weather pattern change, it's a good time to get out and look. There's also, I think that was the day when I think a lot of the terns showed up at Amato. So yeah, look for changes in weather patterns, that's a good indicator to go and look for a chestnut-sided warbler or a rose-breasted grosbeak or something like that.
Okay, thanks, Luke. Joanne wanted to know if that map of Sweetwater is online.
It is. It's a long, drawn-out website address. So I'll put a link into it in our recap email that'll go out later today.
Then there's quite a few comments about the Canoa Ranch sighting.
The Canoa Ranch?
Mm-hmm. Can you recommend any birding areas near Sedona for October?
Yeah, I don't know Sedona very well. I went there one time, and there was so many people. I haven't gone back.
Are you seeing more migrants coming through Arizona to avoid the California wildfires? That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't have any data to confirm that. I'm getting a lot of new birds in my yard, as are a lot of other people. I'm attributing that to us just spending more time at home. There's a lot of birds at Sweetwater right now. I mean, that's where I birded the most. But I don't know if any of that is because of the fires. There'll probably be some studies done on it here in the next few months, years, and I think then we'll be able to have some better answers.
I think that's everything.
Okay.
So we got a few other comments for everybody, but that was all the questions.
Okay. Well, here's the Rufusback, another picture of a Rufusback robin. If someone from this presentation right now is listening to it, if you are the one who refines Rufusback robin in October at Santa Gertrudis Lane, I'll give you a $25 gift certificate to the Nature Shop. How's that? Our Tucson Audubon Nature Shop. But you have to be the first person to see it again in October. So if you find it tomorrow's still September, that wouldn't count. But if you're the first person to find it in October, I'll give you that gift certificate. Here's the other thing, you got to put it on eBird. So if you need help putting it on eBird, just let me know. It's an honor system. So, but I really do believe this is going to be showing up. A few last things before I stop sharing my screen so I can see all of you again. Just some last reminders for October birding here in Southeast Arizona. Pay attention to those warblers. Tennessee warbler looks so much like orange-crowned warbler, except it has a white vent. That means white underneath the tail. Not underneath the tail, but the body part that's underneath the tail. Okay. So pay attention to those warblers. Look for the Tennessee that you can find out, pick it out of the orange crowns. All these wintering birds are coming back. Bitterns coming back. Bring a jacket for the morning. See, and here's one last thing is the higher elevations are tending to become quieter. So in the next few months, we won't be looking at very many spots up in Madera or up in the Catalinas or up in the Huachucas or Chiricahua Mountains because things are getting quieter. For instance, Incinerator Ridge up in the Catalinas. Listen to this. So in August, 88 species in eBird. September, 71. October drops all the way to 46. And then it drops even more to 24 in November. So it's a combination of fewer checklists, but also there's just fewer birds up in the higher elevations. Doesn't mean don't go up there. It doesn't mean there might not be something cool up there, because there certainly could be. But just realize that if you're looking for variety, and if you're looking to, see the most in your 2 or 3 hours that you have, go stick with the lower elevations and don't go to the higher elevations. So that's just something to think about. Almost taught my share. I don't know how many of you heard my son playing his tuba in the background right there, but I think he's getting ready for his band class. All right. Any last questions before we close up?
There's
I
no,
can take it.
no more questions, but there's so many thank yous. And
Yeah, that's awesome. You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you want.
Thank you.
And if you have any other questions, I'm sticking around a little bit here if there's anything outstanding. Marlene, I'll give Marlene a big clap too for helping me with that. I appreciate that.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Thanks, Marlene.
Fantastic.
Luke.
Cool. So,
Thank you, Luke.
yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Luke.
Fantastic. That was
Dude.
terrific again, Luke. Thank you.
Yep.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope
From
to see some of
Pelican.
you on a field trip coming up at Sweetwater too. I know they're filled up through October, but if you're able to join me in November or December, and you want, and if you haven't been able to join me for a while, just shoot me an email and I'll put you on the list ahead of time.
What? There will be no bellered out belly laughs in class.
I was on mute. Nobody could hear me.
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear it.
Great job. Really enjoyed it.
thank
You're
you.
welcome, Alice. All right. Well,
Thanks, you guys. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
welcome. I'm gonna end our meeting. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.